संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्रणाय कारुण्यघन घना त्वम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् महाप्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाध्यन् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकम्पा श्रुतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्जनादो युक्तश्च भक्तांश्च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसाद स्वादन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घम् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नाम् प्रतिक्षणा स्वाधनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनुरतिकेलिसिद्धै यायलिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षात् अतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव शब्दी किन्तु प्रभुर्यः प्रियैव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् नगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन्स्तुवंस्तस्य यशस्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् 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 नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद चैतन्य नित्यानंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा नीलमाधव राधा नीलमाधव श्री राधे जय राधा नीलमाधव राधा नीलमाधव श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शना जय सीताराम 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 जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्याकशिपूर्वशका शिलतन्तानकालाये इतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरेणका अद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरेणका अद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद जय भक्ता प्रहलाद प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी ये तुम्हार शरण लो तारा वांछा पूर्णा हो ये तुम्हार शरण लो तारा वांछा पूर्णा हो कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास हे अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास नयने हरिबो सदा युगल रूप राशि नयने हरिबो सदा रूपराशि हे निवेदन धार सखीरनुगत करो निवेदन धार सखीरनुगत करो सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी करो निज दासी दीना कृष्ण दासे को ये न मोरा हो दीना दासे को ये न मोरा हो श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमः यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, 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 Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. My desire to extend the services of Shilada and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wished to fulfill. Bestow mercy upon him and make him a resident in Vrindavan.
My desire is stopped in this.
Residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Davanatham. Thus within my vision I shall behold the beautiful path of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Karho Danso's Virgin. Please give me the privileged devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love Shishilata and Govinda. Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagation of the name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods and allow Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of the chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma, kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments even understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us have a most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as high trees who can fulfill everyone, and therefore Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Cheto Arpana Marjanam Pavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Eta Deshi Tavarkripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Desham Yaha Janina Nurakaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sada Harihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Va Jagatisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishvare Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Duri Satwisham Vichintaya Nayanam Karadashuru Daraya Vadanam Kadgata Rudaya Gira Pulaka Nichitam Apur Kada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashri shava padratam pinnastumam adarsanam marmhatam karotuva yatha tatha va vitathatu lampato mat prana nathastu se eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction of humanity at large, because it spreads a rays and benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases ocean transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you are invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, all the kindness enables us to easily approach you by your holy name. But I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and shall be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Sanhamanjananda Krishna, I'm an eternal servitor, yet somehow I fall into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the Adam to your lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, when will my voice choke up, when will the hairs of my body stand on end at recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling of separation, I'm considered a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always a worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Guru Pranam Mangala Charanam prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुमृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवर्षपाणिवि देवी दयिताय कृपप्तये कृष्णसम्बन्धविज्ञानदायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमाद्य श्रीरूपनुगभक्तिद श्रीगौरकर्णशक्तिविग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगविरुतापसिद्धान्तद्वन्द्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बरसम्बोधे पादं पूजयते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमिस्त्वं निर्दिष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णवसार्वभौम श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते जयतां श्रुतो भङ्गो मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यकौपजुमदः श्रीमद्रानागारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा शिरगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमनो स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासारसरम्भि वंशीवत ततः स्थितः कर्षं विनुसुनिर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रेयेस्तु नः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विषपानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दाथा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिराध्य गोविंद सर्वकारण कारणम चिंतामणि प्रखर सत्मसुखोपवीक्ष रक्षावृतेषु सुरभिरपि पालयन्तं लक्ष्मी सहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि वेणुं कवनन्तं अरविन्ददलायताक्षं हरहरवतं समसितं बुधसुन्दरङ्गं कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आलोलचन्द्रकलशवनमाल्यवंशि रत्नं गदं प्रणयकेलिकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिभङ्गललितं यतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अङ्गान्यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमन्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसदुज्ज्वलविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अद्वैतमच्युतमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभम् अदुर्लभम् आत्मभक्तो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि पन्तास्तु कोटिशतवत्सरसम्प्रगाम्यो वायोरथापि मनसो मुनिपुङ्गमानं सोऽभ्यस्ति यत्प्रपदसिम्य विचिन्त्य तत्त्वे गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि एकोऽप्यसो रचयितुं जगदन्धकोटिं यश्शक्तिरस्ति जगदन्धचयायदन्त अन्धन्तरस्य परमानुचयन्तरस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं
Yat Bhava Bhavata Diyomanchasthataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Yamsanubhusa Sukta Yameva Nikama Pratitashtuvanti Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Pratibhavita Tavirya Eva Nicharupa Dayapala Goloka Eva Nivasat Akilat Nabuto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Murtishu Kalanyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Soyam Samabhava Parama Pumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, and whose graceful threefold bending form of Shamsundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universe as both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidant Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna, and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nishinga, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. Jai Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Kantaraj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskati Satari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol. So Mataji, you can read. Yeah, get the microphone. So I think we were.
I'll get the.
What happened now? Every time it changes. Okay, make the longer one. Why are we changing all these things?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol. Do you know where you left off here?
Yes.
Okay.
Maharaj. Then if we give up this kind of civilization, then what is to be done? Tapo divyam putraka ena sattvam shuddhyet. The next engagement is tapasya, tapo. Tapasya means austerity, penances, voluntary acceptance of something, some means of activity, which may not be very palatable. But still, we have to do that. Just like a patient, if he is forbidden by the physician not to take a certain type of foodstuff, it may be pain, just like thyroid fever. Typhoid fever. Sorry. The doctor advises, don't take any solid food. But if I am accustomed to take paratha, so in typhoid, to take paratha means death. Similarly, we have to follow the Shastric injunction. If we really want to come out this material bondage means this body. Our real problem is this body. That we do not know. Nunam pramattah kurute vikrama yad indriya pritaya apranoti.
It's vikarma.
Vikarma yad indriya pritaya apranoti. This will come that we have now become mad after sense gratification. Pramatah means prakrishta rupena. Mataha means mad. And when this affix is there, prefix is there, that pra means prakrishta rupena, sufficiently mad. So in this material world, we have become sufficiently mad. Not only mad, but sufficiently mad. Nunam pramatta kurute vikrama.
Vikarma, not vikrama.
Vikarma.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4. And we are engaged in activities which are forbidden. Just like we are drinking, this is forbidden. We are eating meat, this is forbidden. We are having illicit sex, this is forbidden. We are having gambling, this is forbidden. This is called vikarma. But because we have become mad, we are Whole human civilization is meant for these four things: illicit sex, meat eating, and intoxication and gambling.
So one thing, let's go back a little bit where it says, uh, tapasya means austerity. It's the second line of that paragraph. Tapasya means austerity, penances. Now, is there a difference between austerity and penances? There is a slight difference. Let's look it up. Austerity means voluntarily accepting discomfort, right, in order to make some spiritual advancement. Penance is to rectify mistakes we had made by accepting tapasya, or self-denial of sense gratification. So what does it say? You looked up penance or you looked up austerity?
Penance is a voluntary self-punishment
Yes,
inflicted as an outward expression of repentance for having done wrong.
right.
And then
Austerity.
sternness or severity of manner or attitude.
Go ahead. Second definition.
Second definition, extreme plainness and simplicity of style or appearance.
Third.
Conditions characterized by severity, sternness, or asceticism.
Fourth.
Fourth one is difficult economic conditions created by government measures to reduce a budget deficit.
Yeah, it's voluntarily accepting, let's say, uncomfortable or painful things in order to make spiritual advancement. That's the idea. You voluntarily accept it. Whereas penance is to make up for sins that you've committed. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Oh. Go ahead.
Says austerity generally refers to the practice of self-discipline
Yes.
and self-denial in order to achieve a particular goal or spiritual objective.
There it is. That's the right one. That's the right one. Go ahead.
Austerity can involve various forms of self-control, such as fasting, abstaining from certain foods or pleasure, or limiting one's material possessions.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the penances, on the other hand, refer to specific acts of self-punishment or self-denial that are undertaken as a form of atonement
Atonement means for mistakes that you made in the past.
for wrongdoing
So,
or as a way to demonstrate remorse.
remorse, that means you feel very bad that you made those mistakes. So, therefore, you're undertaking these forms of penance to make up for those mistakes that you made. So, you see, most people think they're synonymous, that it means the same thing, but there is a difference between austerity and penance. I just wanted to make that point so we don't get confused. Go ahead.
So, Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma yat indriya pritaya apranoti. So, we have become mad and we are engaged in these forbidden works. If we want to get out of these clutches of material bondage, then we must stop these forbidden activities. Mad, the activities of a madman. So, if you go on like that, then we shall have to accept another material body. The problem is that we are suffering threefold miseries, every one of us. Maybe the degree different.
Okay, you know what those threefold miseries are? Miseries of this body, miseries caused by other bodies, and miseries caused by natural cataclysmic events. So miseries of this body, that's Sanskrit, you would say. Oh, okay, I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe the degree different, but under being But under being intoxicated, we do not take the sufferings as sufferings. That is another madness. But the sufferings are there. That is being pointed out by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita.
So that's
Janma
called Adhyatmika, Adhibautika, Adhidevika. Those are the three types of miseries. Go ahead.
Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. Bhagavad Gita 13.9. You may be very perfect by arranging your material civilization to enjoy life, but you will not be allowed to live. That we do not see. There is no insurance. I am making very nice arrangement for my future enjoyment, having good bank balance, nice skyscraper buildings and other things. But where is the guarantee that you shall live and enjoy? That we do not see. Therefore, we are madman. If you are arranging something utopian for happiness, and if you understand that I shall die
Okay, it says
tomorrow,
arranging something utopian. Utopian means ideal,
idea,
perfect. You know.
that
And it-
I shall die tomorrow, then immediately my enthusiasm will decline. Now, who is going to take so much trouble? I am going to die tomorrow.
Nobody wants to think like that. Otherwise, it'll put a damper. That's a nice word, damper. D-A-M-P-E-R. Look it up. It'll put a damper on your desire to have sense gratification. D-A-M-P-E-R.
Depressing.
subduing or
Inhibiting effect.
Inhibiting. Yeah. So if you think, oh, any day I could die, you know, then what's the use of working so hard for sense gratification when I can die at any time? So that puts a damper on your desire. It limits your desire for sense gratification because you know you're not sure if you're going to be alive in the next day or next month. Right? So nobody wants to think like that. So that's the difference between a materialist and a devotee. A devotee acts as if he's going to die in the next minute. And the materialist acts as if he's never going to die. He's making plans all the time. So, therefore, the devotee is always conscious of what you would call the precariousness of human life. That's a nice word, precarious. P-R-E-C-A-R-O-U-S. Precarious. What's it mean?
Not securely held or in position.
Yeah, it's not sure. So the devotee is sure of one thing: death can come at any time. So therefore, they are always staying in Krishna consciousness. And the karmi never thinks of death can come. In fact, they don't want to even think about that because otherwise they wouldn't be so enthusiastic about sense gratification.
One time, Maharaj, I was teaching small kids Krishna story pastimes. I got a feedback from one of the parents that don't use the word death because Krishna was killing the
Yeah.
demons because they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, he loves the demons. That's why he choked them to death. No, oh, sorry, I said death. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's crazy. You know. Why would they say don't say the word death? Because that's just their mindset. They don't want to die, so why talk about it, right? Because it's like a negative thing for them. But actually, like I said, the moment of death is the best moment for the devotee. And the moment of death is the worst moment for the karmi. So you see, there's a difference. The devotee is not afraid of death. Why? Because no, the soul is eternal. It's not going to die. It's just the body, which is a temporary thing, is going to die. So, you know, this is a question of who you believe. And that's Prabhupada's going to get to that now. Go ahead.
So tomorrow not, say 100 years after, you will have to die. You cannot escape this. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam.
Janma mrityu. Janma mrityu. Jaravyadi. Mrityu.
So therefore, Krishna says that you are very scientifically advanced. There is no doubt about it. But what about your death? Why you shall accept death? You are eternal. Na hanyate na hanyamane sharire. You do not die after the destruction of this body. Nitya shashvato yamna hanyate hanyamane sharire. Bhagavad Gita 2.20. These informations are there, but you are not considering that. We are going on to establish ourselves very tightly in this material world. But Krishna says that you will not be allowed to live. These things are to be considered. Therefore, they have been described as pramata.
Pramata means craziness. People are crazy.
Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yad indriya pritaya apranoti. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4. They are acting sinfully, or they are committing so many sinful activities, and they are becoming entangled for another's body. Who is the resultant action of our sinful activities? Therefore, Rishabhadeva says that na sadhu manye. This is not good, that you are wasting your time simply for sense gratification, and you do not know that you have got a next life. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kauvaram yavvanam zara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Bhagavad Gita 2.13. You are living entity. You are not these flesh and bones.
You are living entity.
You are living entity. You are not these flesh and bones. You are spirit, soul, and you are within this body. You are now entrapped with this material body, and so long you will act irresponsibly. You will get another material. Tata
Another
dehantar.
material body.
Another material body. Tata dehantara prapte. You will get another body, and the body is not guaranteed. There are 8.4 million different forms of body. Sarva yonishu kaunteya. Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Although the spirit's soul is there, but this particular body, the hog's body or the man's body or the demigod's body, there are so many. Jalaja Nava Lakshani Stavara Laksha Vimshati Padma Purana. There are 900,000 forms of body within the body. Stavara Laksha Vimshati. And there are trees, plants, 2 million forms of body. So we have already gone through all this body, and we have got this human form of body after many millions of years by evolutionary process. Therefore, Rishabhadeva says, I am Deha. This body, don't think it is ordinarily received. Nayam Deho Deha Bhajam Ruloke. In the human society, you should not waste it like the hogs and dogs simply for sense gratification. This is the Bhagavata instruction. You should soberly use it. So, how soberly used? That is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitran Yanti Pitr Vrataha Bhutejya Yanti Bhutani Madhyajino Piyanti Mam. Bhagavad Gita 9.25. You can utilize this body properly for higher standard of life. You can go to the higher planetary system. The higher planetary system begins from the sun. That is another subject matter.
Okay, why does he say that? Because we usually think the moon is closer to the earth than the sun. But according to Shastra, Vedic Shastra, the moon is 1,600,000 miles farther away than the sun. The sun is already 90, well, it's said 93 million miles. So you add 93 million plus 1.6, that's 900, 900 so, okay, so 94,600,000 miles, right? So this is completely different than what the scientists say. And how do we know that? Because even in ancient times, people always said that the week starts by Sunday, and then the second day is Monday. So Sunday is named after the sun, and Monday is named after the moon. So that's been there for thousands of years, because in ancient times they knew that the sun was closer to the earth than the moon. But in modern times, the scientists are declaring that the sun is 93 million miles away, and the moon is only like 245,000 miles away. So you see, there's major differences between what's said in the Shastra and what's believed or claimed by the scientists. Now, this is going to bring up a major point that Prabhupada is going to make. Who do you believe? So, well, let's see how he frames that. Go ahead.
This is another subject matter. But so far, we get information from Srimad Bhagavatam, their sun, then moon, according to Bhagavatam. And I think we were talking about these things, that whether the moon is the first planet or the sun is the first planet. So far, we understand from Vedic literature, the moon is the second planet, the sun is the first planet. If we consider like that, then moon is beyond the sun planet. The estimation is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. 1.6 million miles above the sun, the moon is situated. Now, if we take consideration of the sun planet situated 93 million miles from Earth, then add 1.6 million miles again, it comes to 15 million.
No, that's a mistake. He corrects himself. He says 95 million miles.
Away.
Right.
Miles away from the earthly planet. And now you can reach there in 4 days, 95.
So the
and
scientists
how can you
say
reach there
they
in
went
4
to the moon in 4 days. The Prabhupada said, how can you go to the moon in 4 days when it's almost 95 million miles away? The scientists say it's only like 245,000 miles away. So it's impossible that they could go to the moon in 4 days, right? You can't go that fast. So the question, it comes down to, who are you going to believe? You're going to believe Shastric evidence, or are you going to believe the scientists? Well, we heard what on the Conan O'Brien show back in the 1960s, what Buzz Aldrin said. Buzz Aldrin was with Armstrong. They were the two men that went to the moon, so-called the first two that went to the moon. And Buzz Aldrin clearly said, when O'Brien asked him, what was it like on the moon? We saw it, the actual landing. And Buzz Aldrin said, no, it's not you didn't see the landing, you saw a reproduction of it. And then, O'Brien was a little bit shocked when he said that. And then Buzz Aldrin kept insisting it was just like a Hollywood reproduction of the moon landing. It was not the actual moon landing. He said, but there were no cameras on the moon, right? I mean, you see when there's a movie, like they have these big cameras, and they're moving them around and they're filming. He said there was nothing like that on the moon. That was just a facsimile of the landing, right? And it shows Buzz Aldrin, running around in circles on the moon. But the whole thing happened in a studio, right? So you see, the whole thing is a hoax. But even though Buzz Aldrin was going around saying, "Well, we went to the moon," but actually it was just it's a Hollywood production of it. And still, they insist today that they went to the moon. And he was with Armstrong in the so-called space module that went to the moon, but they never actually went. And he went around telling the truth every once in a while. He didn't broadcast it all the time, but you saw the video, right? You saw him correct Conan O'Brien. He said, no, that was a production. So, anyway, now the question comes, who are you going to believe? That is the fundamental question. Go ahead now. Prabhupada's really going to get into it now.
If we apply our common sense, then it appears they have never gone to the moon planet. It is all bogus propaganda. It is not possible.
Now, this is called a priori, not a priori, this is called the Shastra Chaksus. Shastra Chaksus means seeing through the Shastra. It is not inductive reasoning. The scientists are using inductive reasoning. Devotees use deductive reasoning. Now, what's the difference between inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning? We have to learn this. Deductive reasoning is you begin with a priori truth. A priori means self-evident truth. Just like everybody has a mother and father. Do you want to argue against it? Someone will say, "Oh, no, I was a test tube baby." But still, the father's sperm was used to impregnate the mother's, nutrient base. So everybody has a mother and father. There's no doubt about it. You can't argue against it. That's called self-evident, right? So the deductive process is to begin by self-evident Vedic truths. So one of them is that the moon is farther away than the sun. And the proof that even in ancient times they knew it, they said the first day is Sunday and the second day is Monday. Nowadays they say, well, the first day is Monday and Sunday is the last day. So we see there's major differences that come about, and most of them are misnomers or mistakes. Okay, so what does it mean, Shastra Chaksus? Chaksus means how to see. And we use the process of deductive reasoning. That means you begin with this a priori or self-evident statements of the Shastra, and we begin to deduct from that. Like, for example, Shastra will say, all men are mortal. John is a man. John is mortal. See? Now, did you do any experimentation? No. But the inductive system, you would have to do experimentation, and you would never be sure. You'd have to experiment on every human being in the world to make sure there's not one that doesn't die, right? So the inductive system is very, let's say, sketchy. The deductive system, if you begin with the truths or self-evident truths of the Vedas and deduct correctly, you'll never make a mistake. And that's what Prabhupada's doing. He said, look, first of all, Shastra says the moon is farther away than the sun. The scientists say they went to the moon in 4 days. He said, that's a bunch of nonsense. The moon is almost 95 million miles away. How could they go there in 4 days. How fast was their rocket going in space? It wasn't going at the speed of light, right? So therefore, he used deductive reasoning to see through the sophistry or the false assumptions of the scientists. And therefore, he says with absolute certainty, he says that then it appears that they have never gone to the moon. It is all bogus propaganda. It is not possible. He's not saying, well, maybe they didn't go to the moon. No, he's saying they didn't go to the moon. He's not being wishy-washy about it. And he's sure of it because he's using Shastric evidence. So that's what we have to learn. That's how we should see things, through Shastra. Shastra's chaksus, or as it says also, jnana chaksus, means seeing through the statements of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Shastra, the statements of the Shastra. Okay, go ahead.
Maharaj, on that point,
Yeah.
how do we understand the communication technology, like the satellites which are going, and the way we are communicating has drastically changed in the last 30 years. How do we, I think that's where we all, at least I have fallen, that we went to moon, because you can see the improvement from earlier the communication to latest communication. How do we understand that?
There hasn't been improvement as far as the people goes. There has been improvement as far as technology goes. But the people, like you see what college students do on their vacation period. They're throwing up, they're drinking, they're having illicit activities, they're getting drunk. So where is the advancement there? And then you're seeing, there's murders going on all over the United States. Young kids get guns. They steal their parents' guns. They take the gun to school and kill other kids. And adults run into schools and kill people too. So you see, from the morality point of view, they have not advanced. In fact, they're going backwards. From technology point of view, they have advanced. But what is the result of it? The result of it is crazy theories that we can freeze your body and then you will come back alive in the future. But when they unfreeze the body, the person is dead. So you see, the crazy ideas, gender neutrality, and changing your sex, and everything starts with a big bang, and there's nothing after death. All crazy theories that have no validity to them at all, and people are believing it. So yeah, they advance in technology, but they have gone backwards as far as morality and proper behavior goes. So that's what you have to look at. And then one time a devotee said to Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, I don't understand. He said, the karmis are not worshiping Shiva or Krishna, but they have a lot of economic development, and America is a rich country. And Prabhupada said, that's not a fact. He said, what do you mean, Prabhupada? He said, when I came to America, I was staying in the Bowery. There were so many people sleeping outside in the cold, freezing weather. And they were in the richest country in the world. But I saw, and then two times, Prabhupada's tape recorder, his manuscripts, and his typewriter were stolen. And every time he reported it to the police said, we can't do anything. He said, so they haven't advanced economically. Advanced economically means everyone is happy and they have a peaceful life and they don't have any anxiety. He said, I don't see that here. I see everyone running around every day trying to make money, and getting into arguments, and lawyers are suing this one and suing that one. And he said, I don't see, and I see people sleeping on the street, just like in Calcutta. He said, I thought nothing like that was here in America, but it's here just as bad, maybe even worse than Calcutta, right? And you're seeing taking drugs, killing themselves, you know. So how can you say they've advanced economically? I don't think they've advanced economically. I think they are going downwards. And this is years ago. This is like 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago he said that. So, so this idea that, oh, there's so much advancement, yeah, they're advancing in technology, but they are going backwards as far as morality and peaceful life goes. You know, people are in anxiety. You know. Facebook is uh, going to lay off 10,000 people in the next 3 months, and another 10,000 in the next 6 months. How can people be happy in a situation like that? They don't know what's going to happen to them, how they're going to pay their mortgages, how they're going to, buy groceries, right? And so where is the economic, advancement? It's not going in that direction. Okay.
So, Shastra Chakshu Shat. Our knowledge should be through the Shastras. That is practical. And our process of knowledge is this. We get knowledge from Shastra like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedic knowledge. We do not claim to be very big scientists. That is not possible. But we get knowledge from the best scientific man or person, the personality of Godhead.
There's the real scientist, Krishna.
Krishna, Vyasadeva, Narada, Asita, Devala, later on the Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, Chaitanya. Our process of knowledge is not any speculation. It may be, perhaps.
That's what they say. It may be, perhaps. Let's assume that. All these phrases, that's the beginning of speculation. As soon as you hear that, you should get up and run in the opposite direction as fast as possible before you hear that nonsense. Like for example, let's look up right now. New cure for cancer. Let's see what it says. New cure for cancer. What does it say? Go ahead.
Scientists at the University of East Anglia are a step closer to creating a new generation of light-activated cancer treatments.
Keep going.
The futuristic sounding treatment would work by switching on
Would work. Okay, that means it may work. They're not going to say will work. They said would work. It's conditional. Go ahead.
by switching on LED lights embedded close to a tumor, which would then activate biotherapeutic drugs.
Okay, keep going.
These new treatments
Would be again. Okay, now what does that mean in English? Would be. It's conditional. It's not will be. It's would be. So would is talking about the future, but they're not absolutely sure. So it's I think what they call is a conditional phrase. Go ahead.
highly targeted and more effective than current state-of-the-art cancer immunotherapies.
Keep going.
New research published today reveals the science behind this innovative idea. It shows how the UEA team have engineered antibody fragments, which not only fuse with the target but are also highly activated, light activated.
Yeah, so it's always would be, maybe. See. Right. So in other words, it might not work. That's what it's saying. And it's something that's going to happen in the future. It hasn't happened yet. So anyway, they used would be, which is conditional. Conditional means it depends in the future whether they can really experiment and see if it works or not. What? Yes. Yeah, that's what would is. It's not W-O-O-D. It's W-O-U-L-D. It's a conditional word. It means it hasn't happened yet, but we believe that it may happen. You see. Now, see, I didn't know what I just chose a phrase. New cancer. I mean, I didn't know what they're going to say, but I had a good hunch that it's going to be conditional. It's going to be speculation. You see. And everything is like that. They're always saying, well, it may be that in the future we will death will be optional. That's another maybe or would be. Look that up. Death will be optional in 2050. Right now we're in 2023. You have to wait another 27 days, 27 years. What does it say about death will be optional? What does it say? Go ahead. 2045. Okay, what does it say? What does it say?
Says if the sensational but well researched
Okay, anybody, what does it say? What? No, say it, read it.
By
Yeah, so it's a possibility. That means they're not sure about it. It may happen. Did they use the word may? May come. See, it's all speculation. Now, I just chose that randomly now. I didn't know exactly what they're going to say, but I know for sure it's going to be may, perhaps, in the future. Could be, would be, should be. So you see what's going on. This is all speculation. And people don't realize it. They say, oh, yeah, you just have to wait till 2045 and I'll be immortal. No, you're not going to be immortal. And anyway, you probably die way before that. You know, it's all nonsense. It's just false propaganda. Okay, so let's go forward.
it may, perhaps, no, we don't accept this knowledge.
See what Prabhupada's saying? It may, perhaps, right? We don't accept this, he said. We don't accept this. This is Prabhupada speaking 50 years ago. This was going on. It's been going on for hundreds of years, this type of speculation. Go ahead.
It may be, perhaps, these are all foolishness. That means one who has no perfect knowledge, he will say, it may be, perhaps. One who has definite knowledge, why he will say, it may be, it must be. That is knowledge. Just like we get knowledge from the Shastra.
So Prabhupada gave knowledge. He said, what did he say? He said, it appears they have never gone to the moon planet. It is all bogus propaganda. It is not possible. There, he didn't say, well, maybe they didn't go. No, he said, they didn't go. It's impossible. It's nonsense. See? This is the fact. But if like you go to school tomorrow and in your class you say, teacher, nobody went to the moon, she'll get angry at you and say, we have proof. And she'll say, don't ever say that again. You see, they're using intimidation to teach falsity. This is what's going on in real time now in schools. I remember one time when my daughters came home, and she said, Dad, today the teacher said that there is no God. But I raised my hand. I said, yes, there is God. She said, no, no, no. That's your belief. That's not science. She said, is that true? You see, they intimidate you. They intimidate. I mean, intimidating an adult is one thing. Intimidating a child is another thing that's much more dangerous, because the child doesn't have the, let's say, the knowledge to debunk a false statement. And then the teacher is someone they have to accept as an authority, right? But when the teachers are nonsense people, then they intimidate the children, and then the children, get frightened, and then they say, okay, well, all right, that's what you said, I have to follow that, You see. That's why these schools are nonsense. Go ahead.
Shastra Jalaja Nava Lakshani. There are 900 species or forms of life in the water. So we have not gone into the water, but we get from the authorities Padma Purana and we accept it. So our process of knowledge, you may say that you have not practically experimented, but what you have experimented. You also hear from others. You believe that they have gone to moon planet. You have not gone. You have heard from somebody in the newspaper, that's all. That is your authority. So if you can believe in the newspaper, then I cannot believe in the Shastras?
So if you believe in the newspaper, why can't I believe in the Shastra? That's his point. Okay, we'll stop right there. You see, this is brilliant. This is real, analysis of what's true and what's false. We don't accept what the scientists say. We accept what is in Shastra. That's our way of learning. Now, do you accept this or you don't accept it? That's what you have to decide, right? But Shastra is not wrong. It's always right. But, people will argue against it. But then, what do they have to offer? They have maybe, perhaps, would be, I wish it was, all nonsense statements that have no real validity. So we'll stop right there. Are there any questions?
Maharaj, I just wanted to confess that I when I heard this for the first time,
You didn't believe it.
and there are videos, but the video which was posted when the buzz was saying that it was graphical, I was surprised where the other person did not had any questions on that point.
No, he's trying to avoid it.
Right.
Buzz Aldrin just destroyed the whole idea that America went to the moon, right? So he didn't pursue that subject. He said, what? What do you mean? You mean you didn't go to the moon? No. He said, whoa, I saw you running on the moon.
Right.
And Buzz Aldrin said, no, you didn't. He said, that was a production. So you see, they can't deny it, because if they denied it, then all the money they spent and all the money they're still spending would be illicit expenditures. It's all based on a hoax. It's not based on any validity. That means the United States is wasting billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars doing things that are not factual.
And that made me realize that the countries which are really proud about, like NASA or even in ISRO, India, what exactly are they doing?
No, they're cheating the public so that the public will keep funding them to do bogus experimentations. Just like Elon Musk goes, well, we're going to have, we'll all be living on Mars, in the next 20 years. Yeah, Elon, right? like I say, go first, Ellen. Let us know what it's like up there. This is all nonsense. They're talking nonsense, right? And people are believing it. And because of that, they think, oh, yeah, I'm not going to read Shastra. That's nonsense, right? That's all, hocus pocus, false religion. We have science on our side. No, you don't. You have nonsense on your side. Haribol.
And I went in and read more about it. Even though they went in 1966, they did not release a video until 2006. So it took them so long to release. They did release pictures and little
No, I saw
snippets.
pictures. I was there in 1968.
68.
I was there watching television. I think I was only like, about 16 years old, right? And they had a little script on the television, simulated moon landing. What does that mean? Simulated moon landing. That means it's not the real thing. They simulated it in a studio somewhere, or in New Mexico or somewhere, right? And even then, Prabhupada saw that television also. He said, I don't think they went to the moon. But now they never went to the moon. He's being very emphatic. See? And then some devotees left ISKCON because Prabhupada said they didn't go to the moon. I'm not kidding you. There's a few devotees left ISKCON because they said, no, it's nonsense what Prabhupada said. We just saw it on the television. You didn't see anything on it. You saw a movie. It wasn't the real thing. And then now, 50 plus years later, Buzz Aldrin is confirming it. And he was one of the guys that went to the moon. What could be more ridiculous than that? Okay, we'll stop right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. What? I'm going to play that video tonight.
Okay, man. And I didn't
Because
watch it.
my friend is going to come. Last week, it's not the first time he challenged me on this. They didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stick it to him, but in a nice way. He's going to be shocked. He's going to be shocked. Because, Hari Vilas said so, then he can argue, right? But Buzz Aldrin, the second guy that went to the moon, is saying so. Now how's he going to debunk that, right?
So did he say the video was simulated, or did he say that the actual landing itself was? I mean, he didn't talk about that.
He argued. No, he corrected Conan O'Brien. O'Brien said, well, so you were. We saw the moon landing. He said, no, you didn't see it. He said, you didn't see it. That was a production. He said, well, you were running up and I said, yeah, the whole thing was a production. See.
The scientists also said Aldrin is saying this one, because he's the person who didn't get limelight, right? Neil Armstrong became put in the limelight.
Yeah, he's a big liar. No, that's right.
So Aldrin, in order to get attention, he's claiming with what the other scientists are also saying. But it's all gimmicks.
Well, no, I mean, look, here's a man who was there with Neil Armstrong, right? Now, did Neil Armstrong ever say it was a production? No. He just enjoyed the limelight of being the first man on the moon. And Buzz Aldrin is the second man on the moon because he stepped out secondly. Actually, he says it's not a fact. He said, I went out first. He also said that.
So the some deal fell through.
Yeah. Haribol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have two questions if you.
Yeah.
So, is the moon that we see here is the same moon as per Shastras?
Well, what you see is the moon. What you don't see is Rahu. Rahu is an invisible planet. And if they went anywhere, they went to Rahu. Rahu is much closer than the moon. What you're seeing is the moon. And the moon, but I don't know if you know this. If you look up in the 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, it says the moon is 20 times bigger than the sun. Why don't you look that up? There's a lot of things you don't know, Prabhu, because you haven't read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
You read the 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll be shocked. There's so many shocking things in it that you never realized.
Maharaj, my second question is in one of the texts, Prabhupada said there are 9,000 or 900 bodies within this body.
No. There are 900,000 aquatics.
Hmm.
And then there's 1.1 million reptiles, and there's 2 million plants, you know, and it all adds up to 8,400,000. So the 900,000 is only referring to the number of aquatics.
Okay.
And that's in the whole universe, not just on the Earth.
Yeah.
And the scientists on the Earth, they have not recognized more than 1.5 million, less than 2 million species. Anyway, their accounting of species is different than the way the Shastra accounts for a species. So the human beings would say there's only one species of human. I mean, the scientists would say there's only one species of human beings. Shastra is saying there's 400,000 different species of human beings. So they're not counting in the same way. It takes time to figure all this out. You know. Okay, so we'll have what? Homework? Well, okay, the homework was to make an outline of all the major points in this lecture, and we haven't finished the lecture yet. So, did anybody do their homework? No. Huh? Yes? You did? Yeah, it takes time. It's a long list of verses, right? Okay, so we'll read the homework next week. Haribol. Thank you very much. I'm very sorry to have destroyed your illusion that America went to the moon. By the way, why haven't they gone to the moon in the last 50 years? Because they said, oh, no, we're going to Mars because there's no water on the moon. And then 1 year ago, an article came out that, well, now we discovered water on the moon. It's all crazy stuff. It's loony-toony nonsense.
But they say with so much confidence.
Oh, yeah. And this Buzz Aldrin, it looks like he takes LSD, you know, the way he talks. It's like he's joking around all the time.
जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा श्री गुरु बंदो मुई सावधान मोते बंदो मुई सावधान मोते प्रसादे भाई ए भवा तोरिया जाए जारा कृष्ण प्राप्ति होए जाहा होइते कृष्ण प्राप्ति गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या गुरुमुख और ना कोरी हो मने आशा और ना श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसाद जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से रुदान दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहा हुईते अविद्या विनाश जते प्रेम भक्ति जहा हुईते अविद्या विनाश जते वेद गाय जहर चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर बंधु करुणा सिंधु आधम लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना आहा प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पाद छया आहा प्रभु कोरो दया देहो मोरे पाद छया आहा प्रभु को दया मोरे पाद छया एबे जश घोष त्रिभुवाना एबे जागु त्रिभुवाना श्रीला प्रभु पादोइलो शरणा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमः। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि जय श्री
Esi Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, Antkoti Vaishnava Nikiti, Namacharya Siddhasta Grams Kahoj, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Shivas, Gaur Bhakti. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Vigodan, Shri Vrindavan Dan Ki Jai, Mayapur Dan Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dan Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi ki Jai, Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Ganga Maya ki Jai, Jamuna Maya ki Jai, Samavita Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanand. All glories to Sampurudis, all glories to Sampurudis, all glories to Sampurudis, all glories to Shikuru and Shikaranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavan ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishnavastaya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachari Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatya
The lotus, the spiritual master, are the only way by which we can attain pure devotion. About his lotus feet with great honor. By his grace we can cross over and obtain the mercy of. My only wish is that my account is like pure to the words emanating out of his mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is for the feeling of his palms. He is my from him ecstatic prema emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. He brings us to the seal of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord of the master of the poor. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give me the shade of the lotus. Fame spread all over. We take the shelter of
Take
our
shelter
lotus.
from the lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Hari Bol.